Hi class, Dr. G here. Today I'd like to discuss observation research. We can break observation research down into two types. There is observation research in which the researcher is identified and the participants of the research know they're being studied. And there's what we call unobtrusive research in which the researcher doesn't intrude in the environment of the participants. Participants or the subjects that are being studied do not know that there's a study going on. So we've already talked about several of the observation research in which the researcher is identified. There are two types, obviously, qualitative and quantitative. Our qualitative research focuses on ethnography, case studies, grounded theory, and in-depth or phenomenological interviews. And so those are, as we know, are qualitative methods. And we take the data that we have gathered together in the form of words and images, and we do our analysis of the data. We go through our information and we break it down into themes, sub-themes, and patterns that we're looking for. On the other side, the quantitative side, are surveys and experiments in particular. In those cases, the researcher is identified. It's known that there's research going on in the gathering of information, particularly surveys and experiments. But those types of research are analyzed by the use of numbers and statistics. On the unobtrusive side, the side in which the researcher is not identified, we also have qualitative and quantitative types. First, there's content analysis, in which the researcher analyzes particular content. Examples might be presidential speeches. One might go through the 8 years and look at all of President Obama's speeches over that period of time and isolate patterns and themes and sub-themes and then come to some conclusion. And as in all qualitative research, we first get the data and then the analysis of the data leads us to possibly developing a theory. On the next unobtrusive method is pre-existing data. Pre-existing data leans more to quantitative analysis than it does to qualitative analysis. And it is exactly as it sounds. We take data that's already been gathered. For instance, you might want to study unemployment. You might look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics to gather the unemployment statistics over the last X many years and do a quantitative analysis of that. An example from my own research, I think I probably mentioned it a few times, I studied over 7,000 of your IDEA surveys to determine whether students prefer online to distance classes. I took the data that had already been gathered and put it together and crunched the numbers to see if your evaluations of the faculty in the class showed a preference for either or. And to just let you know, what I found was that there was a preference for face-to-face classes. Third, the historical comparative method leans more to qualitative analysis than it does to quantitative analysis, although quantitative analysis can be used. In historical comparative research, we compare the subject of our study from one era to another, perhaps, since history is actually looking at the past as it moves forward. So our studies for historical comparative research are generally longitudinal. And in this case, they are qualitative in nature, so we're looking and analyzing both images, and words. So one might want to study the history of commercials in TV over the last 50 to 60 years and see how they've changed. Compare the methods when TV was just black and white. I remember that. I'm sure most of you don't. And look at the difference that color makes, and how the research may have changed, and how the commercials may have changed, or the research tells us how the commercials have changed. And again, it's qualitative, so we're looking at images if we're talking about that. So those are the several types of observational research. They are both qualitative and quantitative. And as you go through your lit review, you want to be looking for those signals for what was done. If your researchers are looking at studies that were done in the past and crunching the statistics, it's probably a quantitative study. Okay? I hope this helps you understand observational research a little bit more. Again, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to text me. I look forward to hearing from you, and good luck.